What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another edition of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in discipline, decency, integrity, and respect. And I'm coming through with another video just for you. All right. Today's session is going to be a great one. As you can see by the title, it's another top 10 MC session. This one will be dedicated to my number 3 favorite MC of all time, the great Rakim, also known as the God MC, the 18th letter. There is none better. One half of legendary duo Eric B and Rakim. So in the same format that I did my Nas and Jay-Z projects on, I'm going to do this one in a similar fashion. And by the way, if you haven't checked out those two projects, I recommend that you do so. They're a little lengthy, but they're lengthy for great reasons. So check those out when you get a chance. In this particular session, I'm going to talk about Rakim's work dating back to the first Eric B and Rakim album, Paid in Full, all the way up to his 7 Seal album that came out in 2009. So that's what we're going to talk about here, as well as all of the great stuff in between. And before I get started, I want to preface this video by saying that about a week or so ago, I initially did this video. And when I uploaded it, it had about 75 views in a quick amount of time. But as I knew during the making of that video, I knew it wasn't my best, and I really didn't want to do any kind of disservice to Rakim like that. And I can see why it probably didn't have as many likes and comments, because there was quite a few audio stumbles and things like that, and quite a few typos. So I went ahead and deleted the original post, and I was like, you know what? I got to come back different. I got to do things a little bit better and a little bit different. And I'm not saying that you all wouldn't forgive me for the audio stumbles, but I just overall did not like how that turned out. I was not going to keep it up there, So I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to regroup, so to speak. I'm going to make some edits, and I'm going to do some things differently. And this is going to be worthy of a top 10 MC session, and I'm calling already. So if there's any stumbles over here, please forgive me, but hopefully there aren't. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into this session. Like I said, it's going to be a great one. I first heard Rakim more than likely in 1992. And the first song that I heard was Eric B. is President. I'm pretty sure back in the day, I was listening to one of the mix shows on Magic 99, and longtime fans of mine, or should I say, people who grew up in Petersburg back in the day, y'all remember Magic 99, WPLZ. They would have the mix shows all through the week. They would also have their mix shows on Friday nights and Saturday nights, and I would listen to them faithfully, as well as record off the radio and all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure doing one of those mix shows, that's when I first heard Eric B. is President. And from there, I became a fan. And also that same year, I heard Know the Ledge. And trust me, we're going to get to that during this session as well. So that's when I first heard Rakim. And like I said, I became a fan ever since, and I'm still a fan to this day. When it comes to how to conduct yourself as an MC, the poise, the wordplay, the confidence, even being aggressive when it's necessary, being assertive on the mic, and just showing that overall style. Rakim exuded that, and quite frankly, I can't think of too many MCs that he didn't influence, and I would go out and say that had it not been for Rakim, we may not even have Nas, or even Jay-Z for that matter. This man influenced a lot of people, and with good reason. And this project is going to highlight why he's such an influence and why he's been so great, and he continues to be great, as we speak. So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to share my screen with you all. Just 1 second. All right, there we go. Let's see. Hold on. Hold on one moment. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're good. Give me a second. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. I don't know why I had a freeze there, but yeah, we're good right here. So here we go with Rakim. And I just want to make one thing clear before I get started. You see those gold chains? I've always wanted a gold chain of my own, even dating back to when I was a kid, but never actually had the chance to get one. I guarantee you, had I been living in New York at that time, I probably would have had one. And if there's actually a place that sells these, and I'm talking about the authentic gold chains from back in the 80s, y'all let me know because I definitely would like to have one. And I'm not saying that I will wear it in public often, but I mean, you know, I definitely would like to have one, even for completed sakes, because I always wanted one. So shout out to the big fat gold chains. Holding my like I'm on Soul Train. Y'all know I'm about to get into it. So I just wanted to share that. And also, speaking of the duo, I also want to mention something about Eric B. Eric B. Shout out to him. Definitely an integral part of Rakim's career. Um, at one point, I was scared of this guy because anytime I would watch Eric B and Rakim's videos back in the day, he used to scare me, man, because this guy, he was always looking into the camera with such a serious face. I don't think I've ever seen him smile to this day. But I mean, he just had this commanding presence, almost like in addition to being a DJ and a producer, he could also be seen as Rakim's bodyguard. I mean, he just had this aura, like, serious, but still, like a commanding presence with Rakim. And don't get me wrong, visually and on the mic, Rakim had that too. So you basically could say that they were, they complemented each other well. So I would say that. But yeah, man, I was scared of Eric B at one time, but over time I got over that. So I just wanted to share that. And again, shout out to Rakim. I mean, yeah, shout out to Rakim, but also shout out to Eric B for the influence he's had on his career. All right. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into the first part of this session, which will be, of course, the legendary classic album Paid in Full, which was released on July 7th, 1987. All tracks, of course, were produced by Eric B and Rakim, except for one, and we're going to get into that. Now, right now, what I have in front of me is a copy of the Double XL magazine, the Love Hate issue number 4 from January/February 2004. Now, at this point, they had a section in their critical breakdown section where they did the album reviews. They would have a section called Classic Material, and they would talk to the artist or artists in question about a classic album. And in this particular issue, they had Eric B and Rakim's Paid in Full. So I just want to read some to get started, and then as they highlight a couple of songs, I'm going to read those as well. Now, this one, it says, let's see. Okay, and credit to Brian Coleman as well. So it says William Griffin Jr., the former Kid Wizard, enshrined in hip hop as Rakim, then figured that first booming single, which also included My Melody, would change hip hop forever. And that booming single that they're talking about is Eric B. as President. To be honest, at the time, I was hoping to play football at Stony Brook University in Long Island. I had been rhyming for so long at that point that I wasn't looking to pursue a recording career, he says today. I'm pretty sure he would say the same thing now. Um, Rakim was born and raised in Wyandanch, New York, and came up through the area's established hip hop scene. Around 1985, after making a homemade demo with local DJ Maniac, Rakim met Queensbred Eric B through a mutual friend. I told him I wasn't really interested, but said that if he popped something off, I'd be a special guest. Rakim says. Eric B signed up with Uptown's Sakaya Records for a single. They went in the studio and a legacy was born. It was a new sound with slower tempos and Rakim calmly and relentlessly dropping line after untouchable line. With a slower track, I could triple up on words, take the rhythm, syncopate it, and take you where you've never been before. Signed to Allen Records, subsidiary 4th and Broadway, the duo quickly dispatched 8 more classic cuts and Paid in Full was born. Lyrically, I took things from the nursery rhyme frame of mind, things that rhymed and sounded good. I wanted people to see what I was talking about, wanted them to see the scenery. Okay, I get that. So no problems there. So that's where we're gonna start this. We're gonna start it with Paid in Full. All right, give me a second. All right. So with that being said, we go right into the highlights here. And to start the album, we have I Ain't No Joke, which is one that I've always called one of the best album openers in history and aptly title song if there ever was one. A classic in every sense of the word, and it sets the tone for the rest of the album. And that's a complete understatement, by the way. So definitely a 5 out of 5 for that song. And I've always given mad props to Buckshot for his 1997 remake of this song. And I've often said that not too many people can make or should I say, remake a Rakim song, but Buckshot, he did it well. And later in this session, I'm going to talk a little bit more about another remake, and it's not going to be too much later, but we're going to get to it. And as you can see, I got the quotes right here, 5 memorable quotes. And then, okay, yeah, that brings me to, what is it? I got a question. It's serious as cancer. Who can keep the average dancer hyper as a heart attack? Nobody's smiling because you express and the ride and I'm styling. This is what we all sit down to write. You can't make it, so you take it home, break it and bite. Use pieces and bits of all the hip hop hits, get the style down packed. Then it's time to switch. Yeah, no question. So, like I said, classic, great way to start the album, and of course that familiar sample, courtesy of the JBs, Pass the Peas, which Heavy D and the Boys also used for the Overweight Lovers in the House. Another classic that came out the same year. So two classics right there. But again, shout out to Eric B and Rakim for this one, and it's definitely one of my favorites from them. And also, I can't forget the classic video with Flavor Flav, and they just in New York City. I mean, that one always bring back memories. So yeah, and then we go back to the Double XL article. Did he touch on that song? Yeah, he said this was the first single we did for the album and the first video we ever did too. I titled it that because that's how I wanted people to perceive me on the mic. Back then, I tried to think of slogans that somebody would want to put on the side of their car or say all day. So that was like the ultimate. Oh, yeah, I ain't no joke. Yeah, speaks volumes. Speaking of speaking volumes, that goes to the next song, the next highlight, which is the Marley Marl produced My Melody, which is another classic and one of Marley Marl's first memorable tracks. Now, it wasn't brought to many people's attention that Marley Marl had a say in a couple of songs on this album, this being one of them. And of course, it's a 5 out of 5 classic. Here we go with the memorable quotes right here, the opening lines. Turn up the bass, check out my melody, hand out a cigar. I'm letting knowledge be born, and my name's the oh yeah. You can't go wrong with that. And before I get to the next highlight, I just want to make some clear. I do have all of these albums on CD. In the case of Paid in Full, back in, I believe, October of 2001, I initially bought the Platinum Edition, which this one was the album, and then this two had a lot of remixes and bonus material. And then a few years ago, sometime between maybe 2016 and 2019, maybe, I was able to find a brand new copy of the original pressing on eBay for a real good deal. So that's in my collection. Excuse me, that's in my collection as we speak. I think I still have that Platinum Edition somewhere. But yeah, I do have everything on CD, and I'm gonna talk more about that as we continue on. So, and going back to the Double XL article, where he says about My Melody, he said that was the first song we ever made. We did that one, and Marley Marl made it sound like it was supposed to sound. He played a big role in that record. Those was all just different rhymes I had, and most of them was on a tape I made with DJ Maniac back in '85. I wrote one more verse, the one where Marley Marl synthesized it in the studio. Yep. So okay, so he said, "I Ain't No Joke" was the first single we did for the album, and the first song they ever made was My Melody. And yeah, you can actually listen to My Melody and tell that it was, something that they was doing for the first time. You could just listen to it and tell. So yeah, so like I said, 5 out of 5 for that highlight. Then we move on to the next highlight. I know you got soul. Hey, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be in here. I mean, man, look, that Bobby Bird sample, I love it to this day. I mean, you can't get any better than that. And of course, if you throw it on at a party today, you're bound to get the dance floor packed, then and now. And my mom, she still likes this song, so What more can I say? Put it on now. She'll probably go on the dance floor and do her little two-step and all that. So yeah, she was a fan of Rakim back in the day too. Um, definitely a great song. It got parties started back in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and it'll still get parties done today. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to a cookout later today with my family for Mother's Day as I record this, and I guarantee you that song is going to be played. And if it do, y'all know I'm gonna be on the dance floor, most likely with my mom too, but we'll see about that. You know, and like I said here, you can't pick five memorable quotes outside of an equally memorable song. So these bars right here, y'all know them. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a strong rhyme to step to. I mean, y'all know what it is. Y'all know where that comes from. And even non-hip hop fans will probably recognize those lines right there. So again, classic material, man. Thinking of this, you keep repeating you miss the rhymes from the microphone solo whistle. And as you sit by the radio, hand on the dial soon, as you hear it, pump up the volume. Great stuff. Classic. Never can go wrong with this joint, man. Never. So we'll move on to another classic, this time in the form of Move the Crowd, which is one main thing an artist should do. And Rakim did that so well. 5 out of 5 for this classic. And in the Double XL article, he said, My brother Steve did the music for that. If I wasn't sampling something, we would play it on keyboards, and Steve was my keyboard player. You can tell the keyboards throughout the song from the beginning, middle, and end. Said my family's musical background was crazy. My mom played jazz all day, and my pops played smooth shit. Yeah, we can tell. You know, how could I move the crowd? First of all, ain't no mistakes allowed. Here's the instructions. Put it together. It's simple, ain't it? We're quite clever. Some of you been trying to write rhymes for years, but weak ideas irritate my ears. Is this the best that you can make? Because if not, and you got more, I wait. Great stuff, man. This is actual fact. It's not an act. It's proven indeed, and I proceed to make the crowd keep moving. Move the crowd. Y'all know what it is. All right. Next up, we got Paid in Full, a straight classic that didn't need a hook. I mean, the video that came with it was dope, just like the video that came with Move the Crowd. Great stuff, man. And I say here, no artist could ever come close to remaking this song. Some have tried because it's simply that good. And the entire song is one memorable quote altogether. Should I do it off the top of my head? Hmm. It's a 5 out of 5. And speaking of remakes, I believe Snoop remade his own version called Papered Up, which was good. I also think Lil Wayne did his own take too. Now, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. I'm a Snoop fan. I've been a Snoop fan since the early Death Row days. And I've recently talked about Lil Wayne on my post talking about Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Rick Ross, and J. Cole. So y'all can check that out to get my thoughts on Lil Wayne. So at any rate, this song is a classic. Like I said, all bars, no hook. And what did Rakim said, courtesy of the Double XL article? He said, when we got the first Fourth and Broadway check, it said Paid in Full on it. So Eric said, yo, that's what we're going to name the album. I wasn't sure about it at first, but that idea definitely worked. I really dug the remix of that, which was courtesy of Cold Cut 7 Minutes of Madness, which appeared on the 12-inch. The original wasn't even 16 bars. It was kind of plain, but they added a bit of flavor to it. Speaking of which, thinking of a master plan, because ain't nothing but sweat inside my hands. So I dig into my pocket of my money is spent and I dig deeper, but still coming up with lint. So I start my mission, leave my residence, thinking, how could I get some dead presidents? I need money. I used to be a stick up kid, so I think of all the devious things I did. I used to roll up. This is a hola. Ain't nothing funny. Stop smiling, but still don't nothing move but the money. And now I learned to earn because I'm righteous. I feel great, but maybe I might just search for a 9 to 5. If I strive, then maybe I'll stay alive. So I walk up the street whistling this, filling out a place because man, do I miss a pen, a paper, a stereo, a tape, me and Eric being a nice big plate of fish, which is my favorite dish because without no money, it's still a wish. And I don't like to dream about getting paid, so I dig into the books of the rounds that I made. So now it's a test to see if I got pulled, hit the studio because I'm paid in full. Classic, classic, classic. So, speaking of classics, we move on just like that to As the Rhyme Goes On. Probably one of the one of the lesser known songs on the album, but it's still good. You know, the rhyme gets together as the rhyme goes on. No question about that. Another 5 out of 5 classic. Then we go to another 5 out of 5 classic, which is Eric B. as President. And like I said up top, this is one of the first songs that I ever heard from Rakim. And this opening verse, y'all know what it is. I came in the door. I said it before. That opening line right there, you know what it is. You know where that comes from. It's just such a unmistakable line and a memorable line at that. I mean, like I would guess that even people who don't know hip hop, they probably know where that line comes from. And the rest of that opening verse is just awesome. You know, I don't even have to read it verbatim or say it verbatim because just by mentioning I came in the door, I said it before, y'all know where that comes from. And like you need to ask what this song is. This is a 5 out of 5 out. Well, I'm gonna get to that, but it's a 5 out of 5 song all the way. Definitely, you know. Um, I mean, you can't go wrong with it, you know. And that right there, I also want to make a point that, even though I would later give this to Inspector Deck in terms of, a person who usually has such incredible opening verses, just knew how to start a song off proper. Rakim is like the early example of that as well because he dropped some awesome first verses. I mean, take a look at this album alone. Eric B. is President, that opening verse to I Know You Got Soul, Paid in Full, Move the Crowd. I mean, there it is, so we got the early king of the opening verses, and that's Rakim. So, my final words on this one. What more can I say about this album that I haven't said already? Simply put, it's my number 9 favorite album of all time. It's a 5-star classic, and it's one of the greatest albums in all the history of music. Yes. So that brings me to the end of the Paid in Full album. And before I close, going back to the Double XL article once again, when talking about Eric B. as President, Rakim said, the first time I heard that song on the radio, I was walking home one night at about 10 o'clock to get ready for school the next day. And this kid was sitting in his car and the song is playing. Back then, people used to always steal my tapes. So I went over and I said, "Where the fuck you get that from, man? That tape from?" He looked at me. He didn't know who I was, which is kind of laughable, but okay. He looked at me. He didn't know who I was. And he said, "Yo, this shit is on the radio." I had the best walk home that night. Like, this shit is really real, raw. No question. All right. So shout out to Double XL magazine for that one. All right. So then from here, we move on to the sophomore album, Follow the Leader. After releasing the groundbreaking classic Paid in Full in 1987, Eric B. and Rakim returned 1 year later with their sophomore album in the form of Follow the Leader, which was released on July 25th, 1990. Excuse me, no, not 1998, 1988. And all tracks were produced by Eric B. and Rakim. And before I move on, I bought this from FYE, I believe in September of 2001 or October 2001. They had a brand new copy of the original pressing. I think it was either 11.99 or 12.99, and I still got it to this day. Now, I would have had this way back in the day, but I didn't start collecting CDs until late 1996, November 1996 to be exact. I was 12 at that point. So some of this stuff I didn't get until later, even though back when I had tapes, I would be exposed to certain things, at an early age, thanks to my dad. And if you listen to some of my other episodes, y'all know that it was my dad who initially turned me on to hip hop. And I always give him credit because without him, I don't know who else would have turned me on to it. It damn sure wouldn't have been my mom, that's for sure. So, with that being said, we're going to get right into this classic. And speaking of classics, the highlight begins this song, Follow the Leader. Now, not only do I love this song, but this one song, whenever somebody asks me, or if I'm thinking about what I would use as the greatest song of all time, this is usually the song that I go to, no lie. I usually pick this one. And I know you may be surprised that I'm not picking a song from Nas, but this Follow the Leader song, I mean, it's a great opener. And the video is also my number one favorite video of all time, as I know it here. My number two favorite video of all time is Wu-Tang Clan's Triumph, just in case you wanted to know. But this song, Follow the Leader, I love this. I mean, that first verse, incredible. The second verse, incredible. If I could, I would sing the whole song right now. But then again, I could, but in the interest of time, I'm gonna just keep it moving. But I just end with this, a verified freestyle lyrics of fury. My third eye make me shine like jury. You're just a running rapper. Your rhymes are many made. I've been here with a fade to watch you flip like a renegade. I can't wait to break or eliminate on every traitor or snakes will stay away and follow because the tempo is a trail. The stage is a cage. The mic is a third rail. I'm Rakim, the fiend of a microphone. I'm not him. So leave my mic alone. Yes, indeed. And even dating back to the Paid in Full album, drop the mic, you shouldn't be holding it. And as a matter of fact, I would tell that to about all of the rappers that you hear on the radio today. Yeah, drop the mic, you shouldn't be holding it, no question. But like I said, Father Leader, I love this song. Definitely one of my, if I had to pick the greatest hip hop song ever, this would be it. Now, I've heard some other challenges. A guy who worked with me said Wu-Tang Clan's Cream is up there. I would agree with a pick like that. As a matter of fact, I would probably put that in the top 5. And you also can say a song like Public Enemy's Fight the Power. That's another candidate. So, and I guarantee you the majority of the songs, if anybody picks a contender for or pick for best song ever in hip hop, it's naturally going to come from something in the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s maybe, but definitely between, I would say between 84 and 99 maybe, So yeah, and by the way, let me know what you think. What do you think is do you have any picks for best hip hop song ever? And if so, what would you pick? Let me know. All right, so moving on, we got the next highlight, which is Microphone Fiend, following up a classic. Rakim smoothly and expertly professes his love and need for the microphone in his hand. All bars, no hook. Yeah. And again, this video, I love it. It's a great video. The song has always been great. I was a fiend before I became a teen. I made the microphones instead of cones of ice cream music orientated. So when hip hop was originated, felt like pieces of puzzle, complicated. Because I grabbed the mic and try to say yes, y'all. They try to take it and say that I'm too strong. Cool. Because I don't get upset. I kick a hole in the speaker, put a plug, then I jet back to the lab without a mic to grab it. Then I add all the rhymes I had, one after another one, because I make another one to just the opposite and actually what brothers done. I get a craving like I fiend for nicotine, but I don't need a cigarette. Know what I mean? Oh, man, I, lyrically sharp, man. I mean, it doesn't get no better than that. So, again, 5 out of 5 for this one, and we'll keep it moving with the next highlight, which would be Lyrics of Fury. I would challenge any rapper today to do something like this particular song. I mean, it's all bars and it's dope. It's aptly titled. I mean, what more can you say about it? It's 5 out of 5. And also, as I know, that streak right there with the 3 5 out of 5 songs, that's probably one of the greatest 3-song stretches in hip hop history right there. Now, I could easily go to my collection and take a look to see if there's any equal to that, but that'll take some time. And of course, one that comes to mind is Illmatic. Now, if you take out the Genesis intro, you got New York State of Mind, Life's a Bitch, and The World Is Yours. Now, I will put that up there. So now, please don't make me answer what would I pick if I did them side to side. Please don't make me do that. So with that being said, we're gonna keep it moving with the highlights. But like I said, Follow the Leader, Microphone Fiend, Lyrics of Fury, that 3-song stretch, 3-song streak, possibly the greatest in hip hop history. But we can always have a discussion to see what equals in value when it comes to that. So the highlights continue with just a beat. Now, this may have just been a beat, but it's good. It's an old school one, and it's courtesy of a modified sample, thanks to Jackie Robinson's Pussyfooter. Now, when I think about this one and when I listen to it, that takes me back to an episode of Good Times. Now, for my old school heads, Y'all remember the classic show Good Times, not that animated crap that's on Netflix right now. We talking about the actual Good Times show. Now remember season 1, there was an episode called Black Jesus, and at the start of the episode, I got to go back and rewatch this one too. At the start of the episode, you hear some music playing. Now what was playing had to have been like an instrumental version of this Pussyfooter song, or it may have been the actual song. But Thelma was in the back. I mean, she had it cranked up. She had to have had that radio turned up to 10. And JJ was in the living room doing his painting. He was dancing a little bit too. And then he ended up making a mistake. He came in, he was like, "Hey, Thelma, turn down that noise in there." Thelma was like, "What? What?" I mean, she said it loud too. JJ, "Turn down that noise in there. You made me make a mistake." And here come Thelma. "So what? Everything you paint is a mistake." Oh my God. But yeah, so like I said, I definitely got to go back and rewatch that episode. Black Jesus, good times. All right, so we move on to the next few highlights. We can go through these a little bit quick. So everything is pretty much 5 out of 5 with the exception of one. 5 out of 5 for Put Your Hands Together, in which the song makes you do just that, put your hands together. No Competition, I gave a 4.5 out of 5. This is a dope song, even though I knew what Rakim was going for. At that point in '88, there was competition. I saw what he was going for, but you got songs like that back in the day. You don't get them nowadays because really, literally today, there is no competition. Rakim will run lyrical circles around probably 85% of the rappers that's on the radio right now. But that's another story. So then we got 5 out of 5 for the R. You're doing it with the R, you know. Um, and also going back to No Competition, he said, competition is none. I remain at the top like the sun. Oh, yeah, I get it. And then we close things out with another 5 out of 5 highlight, which is Musical Massacre, featuring a notable sample courtesy of the Jimmy Castor Bunches, It's Just Begun. And Rakim did a good job keeping up with the beat throughout. So then I said here, this is no sophomore jinx, and while it's nowhere near better than Paid in Full, it still features Rakim at his very best on the mic, and along with being on the boards with Eric B, you can't ask for more than that. And I give this one 5 stars too. So 2 back-to-back 5-star albums right there. So then we skip 1989, go right into the dawn of a new decade, 1990, and that would be Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em. I say here the entire hip hop landscape was changing as 1990 emerged. Did Eric B and Rakim keep up with the times, or did they get lost in the shuffle? And we shall see. All tracks were produced by Eric B and Rakim, and this was released on May 22nd, 19. Oh my God. Look at that typo, y'all. Now, I thought I took all the typos out when I went back and edited this document about 3 times. Now, how did I miss this? Or you know what? That is 1990. Now, from here, it looks like it's 1998, but at any rate, no matter what the hell it says, this came out on May 22nd, 1990. I think that is 1990, but from a distance, it looked like 1998. But let's keep it going. So, the highlights here. Obviously, the opening title track, Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em. I'm the arsenal. Let me do that again. I'm the arsenal. I got artillery, lyrics of ammo, rounds of rhythm. Enough said. So, Rakim's streak of awesome classic openers continues here. This is the first glimpse at a lyrically harder Rakim, and it worked on all levels. 5 out of 5 for this opener. Like I said, classic. I love this song. Then we go to No Omega, which is one of my favorite tracks on the album with one of my favorite Rakim lines. You won't strike because you ain't no match. I mean, drop the mic. Drop the mic right there, man. So 5 out of 5 for that one. Then we go to another 5 out of 5 classic, In the Ghetto. They made a video for this. I believe they made a video for Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em also. But at any rate, this classic song about the ghetto, I think it was directed to Brooklyn, or may have been directed to all of the boroughs in New York, but it still was a smooth, rugged joint featuring Rakim at his best. Probably one of the more smoother songs you got from Eric B and Rakim, at least at this point. Then we go to Step Back. You don't want to step to Rakim on the mic or in any other form. 4 out of 5 for this one. Then the 5 out of 5 classics continue, or highlights, I should say, will run for cover. Now, I did say here that it was inexplicably played during Play's party in the movie House Party, but then I went ahead and backtrack on that in real time. No, it wasn't inexplicable for it to be played during the party because the movie made it work, and that song was on the soundtrack, and it featured a more lyrically aggressive Rakim. The stage is stomping grounds, run for cover, and I agree. 5 out of 5 for that one. And speaking of House Party, y'all remember the scene, when Bilal was on the turntables and Chill, he bumped the table one too many times. Martin dropped the headset or the headphones and went around. Yo, I told you to go over there, way over there. Man, if you kick this table, no, if you bump this table again, I'm gonna kick your fucking heart out. Then Chill, why you hang out with that sucker, man? Man, so like I said, so lyrically aggressive Rakim, run for cover, great song, love it, man. So the highlights continue. Untouchables. Rakim displayed an untouchable R on the mic, and he did it with this song. Now, this song, much like a couple of other songs on this album, is better when it's played at night. Now, I know that's a little unique, because I do like certain songs at night. And as a matter of fact, who knows? I might do a video on that highlighting the best songs to play at night. But Untouchables, that is one song that sounds better at night. And speaking of sounding better at night, Mahogany may sound better at night too, which is the next 5 out of 5 highlight. Definitely a tribute of sorts to the brown skinned woman, and it gets an automatic thumbs up for me because I have a thing for brown skinned women, specifically women who are, Sanaa Lathan's complexion. Now I just leave it at that. And this is the classic that included that line in Nas's New York State of Mind, parts 1 and 2. And y'all know the line. She said, "How come you don't smile?" I said, "Everything's fine, but I'm in a New York state of mind." Y'all know. So then we close out the highlights with the 12-inch vocal version remix of Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em. The lyrics are still the same, but the beat is, different, up-tempo, and party-ready, but it's still great. And with that being said, that brings me to the end of this album. Not only was this album the darkest and possibly the hardest thing that Rakim ever made, it's also the most underrated album of the 4 albums with Eric B. In my view, it's on par with, but not better than their first 2 albums. They kept up with the times, and the album was not passe in 1990. 5 stars. Yep, three straight 5-star albums for Eric B. and Rakim. Also, just to throw in some other stuff, Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em was one of the earliest albums to get 5 mics from the source. And like I told y'all, granted, they fell off a cliff, but though I said before, the source was the hip hop Bible back in the day. And I still got a few issues. Two I'm going to look at in a bit, but I still go by those. I still have to go back and add some issues to my collection, and getting them on eBay is like pulling teeth in a sense because they're collectors items now. So you're gonna pay for them if you don't get a good deal. But like I said, I still look at them because it takes me back to a time when I couldn't wait until I saw the new issue in the store. So I still you know gauge my content, if you will, on those issues because they're classics. Before things changed at the magazine, it was the best thing going as far as hip hop journalism in a magazine form. Yeah, you had others. You had Rap Pages, YSB. You had Rap Sheet. Word Up, Right On. A lot of things, but the source was it. You know, that was the magazine of choice back in the day. I know it was for me. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to say that. And also the first 3 Eric B. and Rakims, they were also on the Source's top 10 best rap albums list, which was in the 100th issue, in which I am going to take a look at that when I close the session. So continuing on, we head to 1992 and Don't Sweat the Technique. It wasn't advertised as such, but this will be the last Eric B. and Rakim album, you know. So we head right into the highlights here. It was released on June 23rd, 1992, which I'm showing my age, but that was 2 days before my 8th birthday, y'all. um, and of course, all songs produced by Eric B. and Rakim. What's on your mind? Another great opener. This was on the House Party 2 soundtrack. Midnight Stars classic Curious provided the memorable sample for this opening song, which makes 4 classic openers for Eric B. and Rakim albums, 4 out of 4. Rakim could also make tracks that the females would love, and this is one of them, no doubt. Um, then we go to Teach the Children, another aptly titled song. And when is the last time you saw any song in hip hop with a title like that? It's been a minute, and quite frankly, we ain't gonna see it again unless there's a change somewhere. But if we ain't seen it in present day 2024 or in any other years previously, we probably not gonna see one for a long time. So just wanted to say that. 5 out of 5 for that one. Then 4 out of 5 for 4 out of 5 out of 5. Excuse me, 4.5 out of 5 for Casualties of War, where Rakim touches on the subject of war. Then the next classic, Know the Ledge. Now, anytime I listen to this song, the first thing that comes to mind is it makes me want to throw Juice on, because this was one of the lead singles from that movie. It was also on the soundtrack, and I associate this song obviously with that movie just as much as I do Naughty by Nature's Uptown Anthem, which is another classic. And those two songs, if my memory serves me correctly, those were back to back. I think I don't think anything was in between them. But yeah, like I said, definitely, one of the more hardcore songs you'll hear from Rakim. The video was great. They made some great videos, by the way. So again, classic song. I love it. And anytime you listen to it, I guarantee you it just makes you want to throw Juice in, every single time. And then next up, we have the last highlight on this album, Don't Sweat the Technique, the title track. I do say that the technique was wearing down at this point, but you couldn't deny the impact of that song. And there was a commercial that had this instrumental playing, and it was a few years ago. I cannot think of which which commercial that was, but to hear the Don't Sweat the Technique instrumental with it, I was like, yeah, that's a big thing. I would research it right now, but I just want to keep going with the project, and I'm not sure if y'all are noticing, but I done made a couple audio stumbles already, but they not only add to this because it's natural and it's legit coming from a true fan. I don't even need to apologize at this point because I think I'm doing good here. What y'all think? And I ease back on the verses and stuff like that. So yeah, I like how this is going. This is already better than the first video I put out, and hopefully the likes and the comments and the views will show that. So shout out right there. So my final thoughts on this one was it's not on the level of their previous 3 albums, but it's still good. The highlights justify the 4-star rating, and you can listen to it and tell that the magic was starting to wane at this point in 1992. But overall, they had a hell of a run dating back to 1987, and it'll always be remembered. Oh yeah, definitely. So that right there, that marks the final Eric B. and Rakim album. They ended on a good note, and they had some memorable songs, from this album, mainly Know the Ledge, What's on Your Mind, and Don't Sweat the Technique. Those are the most memorable songs on this album, definitely. So we skipped 1993 and 1994 and 1995 and 1996. Rakim, even though he was still active in hip hop, but not really visible, he took what I would consider a hiatus from the game. And then he returned in 1997 with this. The long-awaited return, his first album since 1992's Don't Sweat the Technique, this time without Eric B. And as I mentioned here, 1997 was a good year for hip-hop comebacks, in which the other comeback that brings back memories was EPMD. They dropped the Back in Business album, I think I want to say September 97, right off the top of my head. I could be wrong there, but they did drop that album in 97. They are 4th. So like I said, that year, which was a good year for me personally, that was the year of comebacks, and the comebacks worked. And before this album came out, y'all remember Hoodlum with Rakim, Mobb Deep, and Big Noyd, for the Hoodlum soundtrack? That was a dope song. And I think that was his first major verse in forever. And it was a damn good song. His verse was even picked as a hip hop quotable in one of the Source magazines in 97, late 97, And I do and speaking of the source, I do have the issue, the December 1997 issue with the firm on the front, Nas, AZ, and Foxy Brown, and they did a review of this album on the inside. But I'm gonna refer to that when I close this particular album. All right. So also, this was released on November 4th, 1997, the same day as Jay-Z's In My Lifetime Volume 1. So we'll go ahead and get into the highlights here. The father Shaheed produced 18th Letter, Always and Forever. Although his real name is William Michael Griffin Jr., he'll always be best known as Rakim, Always and Forever indeed. And this was a solid way to start the album. 5 out of 5 for this one. Then we go to the next bit of 5 out of 5 classics. It's Been a Long Time, produced by DJ Premier. His first time on the track with the legendary DJ Premier. Awesome. And it had been a long time in hip hop years since Rakim had blessed us with some new material. And this aptly titled song is very fitting. Yeah. And continuing on, Clock Can Produce, Remember That, another 5 out of 5 song. And of course, like I mentioned before, I like songs that reminisce on back in the day, especially when they're done right. And that's the case with this song. Then we go to the next highlight. The Saga Begins, produced by Pete Rock. Now, like I mentioned here, it's arguably the best song on the album. He dropped some lyrical signs of a banging Pete Rock production. And then I also note here, not only is it 5 out of 5, but it slipped me as to why he titled the song The Saga Begins. And it hit me towards the end that all he was saying was after being gone for so long, this was all in the beginning. Yeah, it hit me after the fact, y'all. So the 5 out of 5 classics continue with Guess Who's Back, produced by Clark Kent. And I remember going crazy when I first saw the video because I was like, he's back. This was the guy who gave us, take your pick. Paid in Full, I Ain't No Joke. Don't Sweat the Technique, Know the Ledge, Follow the Leader, Microphone Fiend, Let the Rhythm Hit Him, Move the Crowd, No Omega, Run for Cover. There we go. So like I said, 5 out of 5 for that. Then, of course, he shows New York Man Love over the DJ Premier produced New York, You're Out There, which is 5 out of 5. And then The Mystery, Who is God, produced by Naughty Shorts and Kid Nice, co-produced by Bill Blast. A deep, clever song. Rakim was simply talking about God. But as I note here, as you listen deeply and closely, Rakim is directly comparing himself to God as the God MC. It's not blasphemous at all. And lyrically, it's probably the deepest song Rakim has ever made. Yeah, it's that good, y'all. And then the next highlight we come to is another Pete Rock produced banger, When I'm Flowing, 5 out of 5 for that one. So my final thoughts here is that initially I was going to give this a solid 4.5 star rating, but after listening to it again, I honestly can't find anything wrong with the album. And yes, the 2 remixes towards the end, it was like a Swab House remix and then another like random remix. They didn't help or hurt the album, but they didn't affect the overall quality one bit. Rakim sounded refreshed and better than ever on this release. Lyrically, he was still in top form with very good / excellent production to match. Also, the theme of him being so glad to be back on this album is the icing on the cake. So all of this makes it a 5-star album in my view. Yeah, and I still hold that up today. All right. So right now, what I'm going to do is go to the aforementioned Source Magazine article, and we're going to take a look at their review of this album. They gave it 3.5 mics, which was real low for that album. And this is by Derwin Chow. So let's see. So we're gonna read a couple of thoughts here. Let's see. All right, it says, for 5 years, we've waited with bated breath for his return, but with a cautious eye, as with so many of our revered mic holders, career attempts at another go-round have all too often resulted in nothing more than lost trips. Seemingly unaffected by his extended hiatus, the 18th Leather, Ra's first solo LP, comes complete chock-filled with new 7 MC theories and wise prophecies. All right, he also goes on to say that cleverly sequence around live interview skits, the album auspiciously opens with the 18th Letter, Always and Forever, featuring a succinct string loop as well as a new emphasis on a structured hook. Even more radio friendly are Guess Who's Back and Remember That, a nostalgic vocal voyage on which Rakim navigates through the golden memories of hip hop's glory days. Let's see. Undoubtedly, it's the musical donations of Pete Rock and DJ Premier that provide more compelling listens. The Soul Brother grafted, piano written, The Saga Begins presents this legendary vocalist at his most intense, while the primo lace New Yorker out there, complete with ingenious cuts, represents the illest five borough tribute since Frank Sinatra's New York, New York. Now, he also goes to say towards the end of his review, the 18th letter is not without its faults, as demonstrated on a commercially inflicted Stay a While, which is a song for the ladies. I mean, it wasn't bad, but not one of the highlights. And the outright filler found on tracks like the unnecessary Suave House remix of It's Been a Long Time. Yeah, was unnecessary. Not without some listening obstacles that are hard to overcome. Rakim's return release is evidence that he has maintained his gift and is one of the greatest without a classic with a classic catalog untouchable by most. Okay, so shout out to Derwin Child for that. But again, you know, then and now, that 3.5 stars, or should I say 3.5 mics or 3.5 mics, that was real low for that album. Very low. So we're gonna move on to the next album, The Master. But allow me to take a brief intermission, y'all. I'll be right back. All right, y'all. Mic check 1 2. I'm back in the place to be. All right. Shout out to you if you're still with me for this one. And about almost an hour in, I'm liking the way that this one is going. I mean, the first one was a little clunky, and I'm really liking how this one is turning out. In real time. I hope you all like it as well. So I think if Rakim was the head, is he'll be proud. But again, I like how this one is going. It's flowing smoothly than the other one did. So yeah, so good, 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 good. All right, all right. So getting back into things, so we skip 1998 and go right into 1999. The Master, the second Rakim solo album. This was released on November 30th, 1999. All right. So getting right into the highlights here, we're just gonna go right through these. We start with Flow Forever, produced by DJ Clark Kent. Very good song considering the title. Well, I say it's a very good song. However, considering the title, I felt it could have been a little bit better. So 4 out of 5 for that one. Then next up, we got When I Be on the Mic, produced by DJ Premier. Simply put, this is easily the best song on the album. Ross sounded so at home over the unmistakable boom bap sound courtesy of Primo. And if you can't get inspired over a Primo track, you're on the wrong track. Yeah, definitely. 5 out of 5 for this one. Best song on the album. Then the next two highlights are 4.4 out of 5. How I Get Down, produced by the 45 King. Raw Hero 45 Kings beat nicely throughout the song. And another DJ Premier produced one, Waiting for the World to End. Primo again brings a spark to Raw in this song, which focuses on why most were waiting for the world to end, but then turns it around during the third verse. Excuse the damn typo. I thought I caught that, but it's all good. Let's keep it moving, y'all. And explains why it wasn't such a good thought. So 4 out of 5 for that. So if we're looking at Rakim and DJ Premier, they're what, 4 out of 4 indicate in terms of this session? Yeah. And trust me, I'm gonna have more to say about the production as well. So now we get to this. The first, the first time that we're talking about low points on a Rakim album. So we go into Uplift. I get what I was going for here, but the beat, along with an ill-timed Persuado Cuban sample, just did not work. Not only that, but the 3 minutes and 9 seconds felt more like 4 minutes and 9 seconds listening to it. And the way the song ends made it seem like Rod, the engineers, and the producers were more than eager to wrap the session up. And then the next one, It's a Must. It's a Must is a decent song, but the reason why I put it as a low point, and even though I got love for Rozelle, I don't got nothing bad to say about him. Just imagine, like I said here, how dope a Rakim and Black Thought collaboration would have been, either on the track by Big Jazz or Clark Kent. Man, we'll still be talking about that. You want to talk about lyrical muscle, lyrics of artillery, you know, rounds of rhythm, lyrics of ammo, whatever the case may be. The lyrical muscle on that song would have been a sight to behold, man. Seriously. So, um, basically, without reading all this verbatim, I just tell you my thoughts, and then we'll move on to the last album. Okay, I gave it 3 stars, and as a follow-up to the 18th letter, it was disappointing. And the reason why I said disappointing is because mainly because of the production. And Rakim is one of those MCs. Don't get me wrong, he's a gifted MC. He always been gifted and talented, but he's one of them MCs where if the production is on point, you're going to tell that in the product. If the production is not on point, or if it's good but not great per se, then it's going to be, you're going to hear it all through the song. And that was the case with this album, And I do want to hit on something that I know to hear. I did say that imagine how dope the album would have been if it was solely produced by DJ Premier and there was 12 songs, not 17, and no skits. Yeah, then we would have been we would be talking about a much different album. And it probably would have gave the 18th letter a run for his money. He easily could have did that with this album, but it didn't do it. And the results spoke for themselves. And the sole highlights on the album were those highlights. But to be clear, When I Be on the Mic, that's the best song on the album. But like I said, it was the production that caused such a low rating. And like I said, he's one of them artists. The production got to match his lyrical prowess. It got to match him. And if it doesn't, then what we're gonna get is a not so good product. You know, I mean, that's what I think about it. Let me know if you think different. But without having to go through all this, verbatim, those are my thoughts on the album. And then we come to the end of the albums with oh yeah, and like I said, a Rakim Black Thought song. Look, imagine this. Rakim and Black Thought over a DJ Premier produced track. Imagine the dopeness, man. Imagine the unmistakable boom bap sound of DJ Premier with Rakim and Black Thought. You got one of the most legendary artists on the track, along with one of the most underrated. I mean, think about that. you know. So overall, what I would say is that if you never heard this, the only thing that I would say is just check out the highlights. If you're curious and you want to listen to the other material, go ahead and do so. But I guarantee you, you're not going to revisit those. And I'm just being honest here. You know, check out the highlights. Um, I would say if you got some time to kill, so to speak, go ahead and check it out. Otherwise, don't bother with anything outside of them highlights I was just telling you about. You know, just don't. You know, and I'm just being honest. And if I had a constructive conversation with Rakim, I would tell him the same thing. You know, not and I'm not saying that every song on the album had to be when I be on the mic light. It's just that with better production, the results would have been much better than what we got. And that same issue is going to plague the next album, which is The Seventh Seal, released on November 17th, 2009. Now, let me preface this by saying one thing before I move on. To this day, and I'm sad to say this, um, this album is one of the only albums to date that I've ever fallen asleep on. I hate to say that, but it's true. It was one time when I was listening to it, and it put me to sleep. You know, I hate saying that, but that's what happened. And when I did this initial project, I went into it, I was like, is the same thing going to happen twice? It didn't, but we're going to keep on talking here. And also, let me back up a bit. So, um, Don't Sweat the Technique, 18th Letter, The Master, and The Seventh Seal. I got all of those albums brand new off of eBay for very good deals. I just wanted to mention that. All right. So we go through the highlights here. Documentary of a Gangster featuring IQ, additional vocals by Keith Alexander, produced by Why Not. I said that Rakim flexes his storytelling muscles seemingly for the first time in years at this point. He documents the lifestyle or lifestyles of an unnamed gangster, although it's not in the beginning, middle, end sense. It's still a very good song that was heading for an epic feel. And we get 4 out of 5 for this one, just like 4 out of 5 for the next few highlights. Holy Are You, produced by Nick Wiz, a dope song, solidifying himself as the God MC. Additional vocals by Destiny Griffin on Message in the Song, produced by Lofi. I noted that the song is notable for the first appearance of Rakim's daughter, Destiny, who did a good job on the hook. There were quite a few messages in this song, if you ask me, but it was well done overall. So we got 4 out of 5 for that one. And then the Nick Wiz produced Dedicated was Rakim's dedication to his mother, Mrs. Griffin, who passed away on July 18th, 2005. And it ends things on the best note possible, the best song on this album, and the only 5 out of 5 song on the album. So then it brings us to more low points. So I'm going to do these verbatim. This opener should have been a truly aptly titled song, How to MC, but it's the opposite. I get what Rob was going for, sounding a bit different in the process, but he never truly stays on the subject of teaching others how to MC. It's like he'll touch on it, move to something else, rinse, repeat, plus Slice's beat did not click with me. Decent, but could have been much better. Then we got the Samuel Christian featured You and I. This wasn't bad, but it's another song for the ladies. Ra's lyrics were good, but he delivered them in such a monotone voice that I don't see any ladies being won over as a result. Put it all to music. I'm with Ra in terms of showing much love to the music, plus the Pointer Sisters. Don't It Drive You Crazy was sampled nicely for the hook, but this could have stood out more with a better beat. Yep. So I don't even have to read all of this verbatim. I gave it 3 stars, just like I gave The Master. Now, the only thing that I know is that then and now, I'm not sure whether it's a better album than The Master or not. It's not great, it's not bad, it's right there in the middle. So basically, the same thing that I said about The Master, I would apply here. It's the production, and that's not taken away from any other producers doing their thing, because producing ain't no easy job. But at the same time, again, when it comes to an MC the caliber of Rakim, or should I say an MC like him, the production has to match, because think about it. Those albums with Eric B, the production was on point. That album, the 18th Letter, the production was on point, So I do not get what happened after the fact. And I would love to see if he's ever talked about that. But the production, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, lyrically, he always got something to say. But like I said, the production has to match his lyrical progress, his lyrical prowess. And if it doesn't match, like I said, the results speaks for themselves. So that's where we are with this one. Chances are I'm probably not going to revisit the Seven Seal. The only time I'll revisit the Master is when I be on the mic. But everything else prior to that, especially the first three Eric B. and Rakim albums, or you can guarantee those gonna be on replay slash repeat, just like Don't Sweat the Technique, you know. So there we have it with the albums, and thus far, that's been the last thing that he has released to date. And at present day 2024, I don't see him releasing another album. You know, I could be wrong, but I think it's safe to say that he might be done releasing albums. Um, he's probably just touring and all of that, and just pretty much in semi-retirement. You know, I don't think he has a desire to release another album. And speaking of albums, there was one point when he was signed with Dr. Dre to do an Oh My God album, which I mean, man, think about that impact. The legendary Rakim over nothing but Dr. Dre production, and Dre is my number one favorite producer of all time, y'all. But I mean, just think about that. Think about what that could have been. We'll still be talking about it today, much like if Dre would have dropped Detox, we'll still be talking about it today. But creative differences led to them scraping whatever they made. And I don't think that there's anything in the vault or anything like that. And if it was, we would have seen it by now. Just like, you know, Detox is not in the vault somewhere. But let me find out that they did record some, but they didn't put it out there because they didn't think it was good. Man, I'll be like, okay, where the hell has been after all these years? You know what I'm saying? So so that's what I see happening. You know, he can always do some guest appearances, but for all intents and purposes, I think as far as him releasing another album, I think we'd have seen the last of that. And it would be a shame for me personally because in no way should the eight not the 18th letter, in no way should the Seventh Seal be his last album, officially or not. That should not be his last album, y'all. But we shall see what happens. You know, he is inching towards 60, so that may be playing a role too, but you never know. Now, before I close this project or this session with my final thoughts, I have the 100 issue of the Source in my hand right now. LL Cool J on the front, holding 5 mics, which some people called out because they said that LL Cool J never had a 5 mic album in the Source, and he didn't. If anything, he should have had, let's see, Radio should have been 5 mics, Bigger and Deffer should have been 5 mics, and Mama Said Knock You Out should have been 5 mics because those 3 albums showed up on their top 100 best albums, best rap albums, so that's that part. So let me get to this part right here. Just give me 1 second, y'all. I'm not sure if you can hear me turning the pages, but I am. All right, so let's see. Let me get right to it, y'all. We're getting there, y'all. Okay. Now this is their best of best section or best of the best section. And all of these results that I'm about to read, this was basically done with the staff. I think the staff had some saying this, and I think that they also sent out surveys to the readers too, or the subscribers. I think I may be incorrect on that, but I know the staff contributed their thoughts. And like I said, I think that they sent out surveys for the subscribers to fill out and send back regarding these choices, which I'm about to read now. So, all right, here we go. All right, so now they picked the great. Now, keep in mind, this was January 1998. Now, greatest MC, they picked Rakim. So I'm gonna read this verbatim. It says, contrary to popular belief, hip hop heads do not have minute-long attention spans. Proof positive of that surprising fact is the overwhelming number of y'all who voted Rakim alive for greatest MC. And see, yeah, that confirms what I just said. Although at the time of this survey, he hadn't dropped any material for 5 long years, the R's overwhelming margin of victory leaves little doubt that his impact on listeners is still being felt since he came through the door in '86 with a distinctively multisyllabic, low-key delivery. His unabashed nomination of Eric B for president so convinced us that we damn near tripped all over each other in search of the nearest ballot box. And at a time when the average rap zone zipped by at a dizzying 120 or so beats per minute, he then asked us to check out his melody, maintaining the tempo SLOW enough to peep every word, so to see if we'd agree that the mic of the God was truly blessed. Well, we venture to say that Solomon himself couldn't flip verses like that. Little wonder, since the admitted microphone fiend had been penning lyrics of fury before puberty, and his penchant for moving the crowd was undisputed. We follow his leadership into the ghetto. I like this wordplay. We follow his leadership into the ghetto and beyond, and when the rhythm hit us, we were hard pressed not to sweat his technique. Alas, the onset of the '90s witnessed the virtual disappearance of Rakim, and with him went the prominence of lyricism in rap music. That's a good ass point, because that did happen. Fortunately, the God is back, humble as always, but definitely with a vengeance. And judging from the results of this survey, hip hop heads across the Atlas will agree when we say all praise due. Okay, so yeah, good words right there. Now, the 2 through 5 picks were interesting. So, number two, we have KRS-One. Number three is Biggie. Number four is Tupac. And number five is LL Cool J. Okay. Now, next up, we have most influential rapper. Now, number one, Tupac was picked. Rest in peace, Tupac. Rest in peace, Biggie. I'll go ahead and read this one just for completeness sake. Few could captivate and motivate peers and fans like Tupac Shakur. All of Pac's vocal performances, whether his vicious or moving, emerged from the core of his soul, leaving the listener shaken with the onslaught of his passion. With death, Tupac has moved to a higher plane and cemented his legend for all time. That is true. And 2 through 5, we have KRS-One at number two, Rakim at number three, number four, Chuck D, and number five, LL Cool J. Okay. All right, so let's continue on. Okay. Now, best song, EPMD, You Got to Chill won. So the other picks were number two, BDP, Bridge is Over. Number three, LL Cool J, Rock the Bells. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, The Message. And number five, Eric B and Rakim. Eric B is president. Interesting right here. All right, so we're going to keep this going. I'm looking through here to see if there's anything Rakim related. Let's see. Okay, dopest verse. What else? Rakim, Eric B is president. It says, I came in the door. I said it before. I never let the mic magnetize me no more. How many of y'all decided you wanted to be an MC once you heard that? Enough said. Good points right there. And the next picks were Tupac, I Ain't Mad at You, which was probably that first verse. Number three, Verbal Intercourse, Nas. Number four, Big Daddy Kane, Raw. It was probably that first verse. And then number five, Pharoah Monch, Bring It On, which was on the second Organized Confusion album, Stress the Extension Agenda. Yep. Let's see what else we got here. Hmm. All right, so I think that's it for Rakim's first. Oh no, that's not it. I think this is the last one right here. So excuse me. So dopest beat ever. Now the overwhelming pick here was excuse me, The Bridge is Over, BDP. It says Billy Joel never sounded this fresh. While this decade-old beat undoubtedly continues to fill up any dance floor, the question still remains who actually put this track together. With rumors the groove was constructed from the production scraps of Marley Marl, we will we ever know who really made production history? The late Scott La Rock, Said G, or Avin Doc Rodriguez? Interesting right there. But also the next picks were Who Shot You, which was Biggie, Come Clean, J. Rue the Damager, Number 4, Eric B. and Rakim is president. Eric B. and Rakim, and then rounding out the list, Ain't No Half Stepping by Big Daddy Kane. All right, y'all. So, with all that being said, we have reached the end. And like I said, in real time as I record this, I'm real pleased at how this one turned out. And just by listening to what I was doing in real time, you know, this one was way better than the first time. Like I said, the first time I did this video, it was a few audible stumbles, and I did a lot more verses than I should have. And it was showing, you know, it showed to a point where immediately when I was done, the thought did cross my mind that I may have to redo this one because I just couldn't let this one stay up there like that, you know. But I liked how this one turned out, you know. So with all that being said, y'all, I want to say, Rakim, man, thank you for the memories. And also shout out to Eric B, because he was there with you from 86 to 92, you know. So man, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the classic work. Thank you for being the blueprint as to what an MC should be in hip hop. Just thank you for everything that you've done. My hat's off to you, even though I don't wear hats. My hat's off to you. Just thank you for all of the contributions you made to hip hop since 86. They'll always be remembered. You'll never be forgotten, brother. Salute. So with that being said, y'all, let me know what you think. Let me know, what do you think the best Eric B. and Rakim album is? What do you think the best Eric B. and Rakim song is? You know, who would you like to see him collaborate with? Or should I, let me change that. Who do you think he should have collaborated with that he never got the chance to? Now, me, that would be obvious. We never did get that Rakim Big Daddy Kane collaboration. I think him and Nas did something with Alicia Keys back in the day, but I still would like him and Nas just on the track together. You know, can we get that for the album with Premiere? It'll be big. So, you know, so just let me know. Let me know your overall thoughts on this post as well. Let me know your overall thoughts on Rakim. Is he in your top 10? If so, where does he rank with you? Is he not in your top 10? Just let me know, y'all. But anyway, if you like what you heard and you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that like button, y'all. And drop some comments, of course, if you're feeling the content, like I just mentioned a few measly seconds ago. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos. And next time, my people, take care of yourselves. And remember, the power of the mind is valuable. Melody.